Alright, I just started streaming. Yeah, it's already saying like high CPU usage, so I don't know how well this is going to work, but we'll give it a shot. Yeah. Alright, well, yeah, I'm live and I'm about to look for a game. Sweet. No, because I did a video one last night, but no, like the streaming software will notify you if the CPU is getting uh, too riled up, I guess. Maybe it's not. I mean, it's gone away, and I mean, it doesn't seem like it's having an issue now, but. Um, yeah, if you just like go to my profile, I guess, and then when I get a game started, it should show like it'll give you a link to the game, and you can follow along there. Yeah. Oh, I've actually got. Man, people probably think I'm just like talking to myself. Whatever people might be watching right now.
Yeah, you probably want to let me come through.
Yeah, I think you're coming through now. Hopefully.
Test.
And it usually doesn't take me this long to get a game. Usually, I got people lining up. Good lord. All right. There we go. All right. I'll watch this. Ho ho! All right. Stick with my usual opening. Um. I like replying with e6 just to kind of like shut down this bishop. Yeah, I keep seeing this line and I haven't yet learned like really what I'm supposed to do against it. It seems like that might be early though. Like I think just d5 and he has to make some decision with his bishop. Maybe it's better to develop a piece first. I think I'm just going to play d5.
Is your current opponent Bubba Fischer?
Yes.
All right, then I'm watching.
Yeah. Okay. So against this, I was thinking just bishop out. I don't see an immediate problem there. Yeah, I don't like that. He seems like he is pretty familiar with this line. So block with the bishop or something else. I think just block with the bishop. It looks kind of strange having my bishops on e7 and d7, but I'm a little nervous that he just knows this line. Okay, so attacking this pawn. Pretty natural way to defend would be with the knight. I mean, maybe I could consider just pushing d4. Yeah, but his knight gets in here. That's awkward. Attacking my pinned bishop. Could also try to like counter with a6. That's probably no good because then just takes, and then he, well, not there, but hits the pawn. Okay, so I think defending makes the most sense. That's kind of a slow move. I guess he doesn't want me to bring a bishop or a knight here, but so I could just castle and get out of this pin. That's probably the safest way to play. I could also try to make him do something with this bishop with a6 still. Yeah, I mean, a good part of a6 is if I can tempt him to just take, then I can recapture with my knight, and that's almost like gaining a tempo. I guess really it is gaining a tempo. Yeah, actually, yeah, a6 might force him to take, because if I go a6, he would have to bring the bishop back here. Then I could go c4, and his bishop would be trapped. So I think he would have to trade and allow me to take with the knight or my queen. Yeah, I'm gonna go for this. Because yeah, I'm pretty sure anything other than bishop takes I would have won the bishop. So now, do I want to take with my queen or my knight? I kind of talked about the benefit of taking with the knight, but now I'm actually leaning queen. Because I think the knight would be better placed on c6 to jump here. Yeah, let's just go for that. Yeah, so he's going to start a kingside attack. My knight is... This knight is maybe a little bit misplaced now. Because he's threatening g5, and then my knight would... Yeah, I mean, if I go here, I'm losing a pawn. And that's... I mean, if I go back here, that's just moving backwards. I mean, I could clear a square for my knight, but maybe just castling's best, and the knight can come back here and whip around as needed. I mean, it's a little scary castling into this barrage of pawns that he's getting ready to throw my way. But castling long doesn't seem like it would ever be a good idea. Okay. Yeah, so immediately with that, it's probably a fine move. I'm just quickly checking. An interesting idea might be. I wish, yeah. Maybe I can just play bishop here. And if he takes, I bring my rook over and I'm pinning his queen. Yeah, I think I'd rather just move the knight and then, well, hmm. So actually, this wouldn't drop a pawn, as I previously thought. Well, it doesn't now. Because if here takes, well, I would still need, okay. I want to bring my knight, or my rook to this square, is what I'm trying to work out now, how best to do that. My problem with this move is that takes here, takes. My king is, well, he's won a rook and a minor piece for a queen, which is pretty close, and he's opened up my king, which may not matter that much. And he actually would pick up this pawn at the end. Well, actually, I suppose my queen taking would come with check. So he couldn't take here. I would have a tempo to push or take. So here takes, here takes check. Probably knight here. I could either take or push. I'm on this pawn. I think I kind of like this. It just looks a little bit scary to allow him to... The other question is, can he create some other threat with his queen? Yeah, so what's his refutation for this move if he doesn't take? Could also go here. No, that doesn't work. Okay, I'm going to be daring. Yeah, so he saw it. I feel like I should still get this check in, perhaps. Maybe. Maybe. Well, that is the square that my knight needs. I mean, now this works. Takes, 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 takes with check. That gets a little dicey too, though. I mean, the problem is if I move the knight, I'm dropping the pawn. So does this work out? Takes, 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 takes with check. Probably takes. That looks dangerous. That looks pretty dangerous. Okay, what about queen here? Or even better, here. Yeah, and then follow with knight here. Okay. Now, as per usual, I'm down by a good amount on the clock. Okay, so yeah, here, if he takes, I can take with the queen or the pawn. If he takes, can he take there? I don't think so. Takes, and then if he tries to do like this, I can go here, back here. Yeah. I think that may be the only way to save my pawn. So if he takes with the knight, which way do I want to recapture? That looks like the most obvious move for him to play. So if I take with the queen, I'm hitting his queen and this pawn. So he could, well, he could trade and then, That is, I don't know. His king looks pretty exposed over there. I was thinking if I had an opportunity, I would just take this knight to kind of relieve the pressure. Maybe rook here. Just add another defender to the knight. Yeah, I mean, I guess this knight isn't going anywhere productive. I could also look to develop this knight. Maybe that's good. It could be positioned to attack the queen. And that also open up this rook. Yeah, that. Just want to make sure there's no danger for any of my pieces right now. Maybe this pawn push is something I need to be concerned about. I could always answer with just queen up. Okay, I think I am going to just develop this knight. Okay. I think my position's either really good or I'm overlooking something and it's horrible. Yeah, so I figured I would just take if this. And now if he takes with the knight, I would get a pretty good square for my knight. Let's go ahead and do that, I think. Yeah. I mean, there's no other square for the knight, really. Yeah, so I get to ruin his pawn structure instead. That's fine. Okay, feels like a rook belongs here, but which one? Could I consider like this? I'm thinking rook f to e1, e8. I could also look to get this rook involved by just like pushing forward with the pawn. There may be some benefit to that. I guess I could invite this, which, well, that's probably not so bad. I would just stick with the queen. That would kind of stop any attack that he has towards my king for the time being. Maybe it's tricky to defend. Okay, I'm gonna go here. I would expect this. He could also move the knight, but I mean here seems kind of away from the action. Plus, if he gets his rook here, he's lined up with my queen. So, with my queen, I would probably... Okay. That just drops this, right? I think so. Just have to watch out for discoveries, but as long as my king stays off of this square, he won't ever have anything too brutal. Just double in the e-file now, maybe? Or try to get this in. I am actually hanging a pawn right now. It's always good to notice. So this would defend. Okay, let's go there. It seems like that defends and attacks. So that's usually a good thing. Yeah, I mean, I guess his queen has defended this. That's not as good as I initially thought. Thinking maybe here. Maybe push here? That leaves this pawn weak forever. But the idea being if he takes, I can follow with the bishop. It's one of those irritating positions where I don't know how to continue. I think moving that knight there was bad. Okay, I'm going to try this, I think. I also need to be careful about like this idea. Maybe that was his intention. I don't think it's an issue right this instant, but time is probably the biggest issue. Maybe I shouldn't be afraid. I'm actually winning a pawn by trading down. No, he can take with the king. Still feel like this is a winning endgame. It's just I'm going to have to win it. Anywhere else the queen goes, it seems like she's not doing a whole lot. But then again, neither is this queen. Well, except for winning this pawn. Okay, let's just trade. I don't know if it's best or not. I know he needs to take with the king. Anything to be said here? Probably not. It's tough to double rooks now. I can't go here because he hits me. Actually, yeah, he would eventually win that. And if I go here, his knight jumps in. Ugh. Okay. So other options. This still has some appeal to it. Yeah, I'm going to go there. I can create pretty strong. Okay. Here, maybe? Back up. I think I like just backing up and keeping pressure. If I go here, he gets another tempo move. He may be trying to get here? I'm not sure. Okay, that's a move I wanted to play anyway. Now my bishop looks pretty good here. Yeah, I thought he might do that. Now I can add even more pressure here, can't I? Yeah. Yeah, I can. Let's do that. Now he needs to either bring his king up or bring this rook over. I'll probably play rook e8, rook a to e8 next. Look for this. Actually, does that work? No. No, it doesn't. I can take this pawn. Which way do I want to take? This knight is probably what needs to move the most. Yeah, and I'd rather hold on to this. This is a pretty good bishop. His bishop's bad. He'll be able to trade it off, but takes with check. King goes somewhere. I can take the rook. Okay. Yeah, this just wins another pawn. Hmm. Yeah, I didn't really look at that. Taking with the bishop was better. So I think the best I can do is bring this rook over, and I'll be down in exchange plus 2 pawns, which is theoretically equal. Because, yeah. Yeah, that was an oversight. Taking with the bishop, I would have been able to get out of trouble by taking there. Okay, so yeah, as I said, this is theoretically equal. But definitely not a position that I'd like to be in. Okay. Definitely not. Yeah, I feel like he's better. I definitely don't want to trade rooks at this point. So maybe just here. Yeah. He'll probably double rooks. I still think this is good. As expected. Okay, so now... Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. Oof, yeah. Here, he goes back. I think that's worth throwing in. Maybe not. Go there. This just looks bad, honestly. Okay, this will buy me a moment of time anyway. If he blocks with the rook, I'll be happy to trade, I think. Unfortunately, things are just not looking very good otherwise. Still very, very concerned. Okay, I think I've just got to do this and basically pray. Yeah, I'll go back and take a look at knight h3 at the end. I feel like my king's about to get murdered. I mean, yeah, there's nowhere... Maybe this is the most testing move. Maybe so. I'm thinking a rook here. Okay, you can do that too. And now up, I believe. I mean, doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Oh no, I just lost. Yeah. Yep. That's a resignation if he finds rook g8. Oh no. No. Getting flustered, clearly. Going here, I don't potentially drop a pawn, and I would be more than thrilled with a draw. Maybe this is just a draw. Yeah, I thought if he did this, does this work? No. No, it doesn't. So probably just here. That makes some sense. Which is better than no sense. Yeah, now I'm worried about rook just moving along this rank, bringing the other one down. I have this square. This might be pretty uncomfortable. So worth going back here. Other option is to try to get this bishop involved. At least here I'm looking over this square. I think I'm going to try to be a little more active. I think he still can't play this, because then here, and he's losing this pawn, and maybe giving me a bit of an initiative. It seems like it'd be very difficult for him to lose. Hmm. Okay, let's take one out. I don't know if that's best or not. Try to keep him from getting here. My hopes rest on this pawn. So it seems like sooner or later he can work around to this pawn, but maybe I'm quicker. I don't know, that's probably a bit of a hopeful move. Like, maybe he won't move his rook and I can do this, but I would almost certainly expect a rook move. Yeah, but I can get out of the fork with that. I think he should have probably moved closer to my queening square. So let's get that guy rolling. He's moving back, playing a bit passive now. Let's go here. So if he checks me, I can answer with the bishop. Let's see, is that wise? I think it's fine. Because I'm moving this pawn in and I'm getting anchored there next. I think I want to go here though. And just rule out him getting into the position. Actually, he's already not getting in. So is this square advantageous? I get out of the pen. He can just check me. Let's just push the pawn. That seems very, very greedy. Very greedy indeed. That seems like it should be good. Ooh. Man, it feels like I'm getting in here now. Because with that move, he can't get to this rank. How are you defending your pawns? I don't even know if that bothers me. I think just take, take, take. I mean, if he takes, I'll recapture, but if I take, it just makes him easy to win those 2 pawns. Okay. I think take. Take, take. Maybe take, 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 and I feel like I'm winning there. That doesn't change anything, I don't think. Pushing worthwhile? No, not yet, but after clicking here, it is. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting connected past pawns here. I don't think he's going to be able to stop me. Push. Just push up the board. This is starting to look like an undeserved win. Yeah, he's still cut off. If I go here, I'm just queening next. And just push up. Here. Yeah, and he still can't prevent queen next. Yeah, but I can queen with check. I assume I'm mating pretty soon. Yeah, I mean, he has one move. Go here, here, here. Pick up the rook. All right. Well, that is definitely in the category of not deserve it, but I will take it. I feel pretty certain that he just had. Well, he definitely had a draw at the absolute worst, but maybe just pushed a little too hard. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't want to bash the guy, but I can't really take any credit for that win. He just didn't close it out. So, all right, let's try out my fancy new setup here.
Should have used some of his 25 minutes.
Yeah, so a lot of players actually have that problem where, like, most people that play online really like playing blitz, so like under 5 minutes aside. So they just get into the habit of just like moving extremely quickly, and they don't ever really stop to think. I mean, I've been guilty of that before, but that's why I'm trying to play these longer games. But yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, so the engine's already showing he had a completely winning advantage in here. Let's go back to the beginning. And Papa Dookie, you can jump in if you have a question or anything.
Yeah, do you think we could do the study mode thing?
Oh yeah, I forgot that that's how you wanted to handle this. Man, I got this like fancy new stream set up just for this mode, and you're gonna make me use a different mode.
What is fancy? I mean, I see that you changed some stuff on your profile,
I
but
mean, it's not.
what's new about light chess?
Oh, nothing's new about light chess. I just like played around with the layout of the stream, but it's not a big deal. I was being a little bit sarcastic.
Understood.
This actually kind of still works. Maybe this works better. Yeah, that actually works pretty well. Okay.
because when I was watching, I stopped watching on light chess like halfway through and just started watching on the stream
Oh, okay.
because you were referencing arrows that you were making that I couldn't see.
Oh, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that makes sense. Let me add you to this. Are you okay? It says you're here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the screen.
Sweet. Okay. So this is a pretty common like move in reply to e4 on White's first move. c5. It's the Sicilian defense. I don't know if I would recommend playing it as a total beginner. I kind of wish I had learned playing e4 e5. That's just like a more traditional way to play, and I feel like you can learn more that way. And I actually want to learn more e4 e5, but I play the Sicilian in most games still.
What's the point of the Sicilian?
Okay, so when White plays e4, like I said, the two most common moves are either c5 and e5, and both have the same function to control the d4 square so that White can't play d4 his next move.
So you would not do the Sicilian if White opened with d4?
I've never seen that played against d4, and I played d4 myself as White. I mean, it might be a line, but it would be. I assume it would be kind of a crazy gambit line that's probably not sound. But yeah, I mean, on the other hand, kind of a similar idea. Let me go back here. So, like, if they start with d4, you can play f5, which is the same idea but in reverse. That's the Dutch defense. It's fairly popular. So,
okay.
Yeah, I think Big Bash is a good point. Recommending to just try out a bunch of different openings and just kind of go with what feels best. But yeah, okay, we can move on with the actual game. So yeah, that's not super common for them to bring the bishop out like that, but when they do, I always just play e6 because, I mean, that controls this square and the bishop is just running into a wall of pawns. And then you're also ready to play d5, which did come in the game. Yeah, I wasn't sure what the book... Okay, so yeah, this was a weird move order. Because I think normally I'm seeing this f4 move after they've played like a knight out, like knight c3, I think. Anyway. So yeah, we're already like... By the way, this over here on the right, I don't know if I showed you this the last time we talked, but that's the grand or master database. So like you can see if grandmasters have had the same position as you and see what they played, which is pretty helpful to kind of, compare your thought process to theirs. But
I'm not sure I see that.
you may not have it open. So like on the right hand side of your screen, at the very bottom, there's like a little menu, and the very leftmost is Opening Explorer and Table Base. It's like a little book icon.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so if you open that up, it'll show you like what Grandmaster games line up with what the position you're in currently. So that's kind of useful. Anyway, so I played d5 right away, which was played in the Grandmaster game. Takes. Yeah, and then this queen move. Wow, so the computer says I'm already a decent amount better here, about a pawn better. It likes my move bishop e7. Yeah, I can tell now that I've got Twitch going, the voice chat going, and the engine running, my computer is definitely starting to feel the strain. Yeah, and Big Vash is noticing that.
Yeah, I've got the stream open on another computer, and I saw that. I wasn't sure, but like I mean, I was there the whole game on Discord, so it's probably the engine.
Yeah, I'll turn off the engine for now, and then we can. Um, it's actually probably better, like when you're reviewing games, to not look at the engine like constantly, and just kind of like turn it on as reference when you're not sure about what you should do in a certain position. So, yeah, let me know in the chat, Big Bash or anyone, if that seems to help turning off the local evaluation. Okay, and then yeah, I felt like just blocking with the bishop here was fine. And then yeah, I have to watch through this pawn. It seems like an okay way to defend. I didn't really like this h3 move from him. It just seems like it's kind of a wasted move. Like I think he should develop his knight instead. But yeah, and then I kind of debated here whether I should take with my queen or my knight. I'm not sure that it really makes much difference because I end up with the same problem that after he plays g4, my knight is without squares, really, without good squares. So I think I still like taking with the queen, but it'll be interesting to see maybe what the engine says about what to do with the knight. Yeah, I would agree, Big Bash. It seems like this wasn't a very cohesive way for him to open the game. He's kind of scattered. Okay, I do want to see if the computer prefers one capture to the other. Yeah, so it prefers knight takes by a small margin, so probably not a huge deal either way. And it actually wants him to play knight f3 next, not that g4 idea. So takes knight g4 or pawn to g4, and then I castled, which I think was a pretty good way to deal with this. I didn't even really at the time see ideas of like getting this pin going on his queen, but that was a nice resource to have in a couple turns. So yeah, I'm gonna tick back on the engine. Yeah, and that was my comment in the game, was that I wanted my knight on c6. That does feel like the knight will have more opportunities there than on d7. Okay. Yeah, so castles or knight c6 being recommended by the computer. Now, this was the oddest move of the game for me to play. So I'm wondering if it actually works. So I played bishop d6 with the idea of pinning his queen. But I was looking at stuff like takes here, queen takes with check. And then I would assume he would bring his knight out. And then I've got tension here and the knight here attacking this pawn. So I guess the best way, I didn't see this in the game at all, but like I'm thinking maybe d4 is a good way to kind of escape everything. Okay, wait, let me look at the line you're proposing. Oh, I didn't realize that. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were moving the pieces around there.
Oh, I didn't realize that was you. You saw that also.
Yeah, no, that's like the point of this mode, is that it's kind of linked. So yeah, I'm seeing.
Okay, I'll stop doing it. I was trying. I was like, I looked away for a second, and I looked back, and I was like, wait, how did the white lose a queen?
Yeah. Okay. So let me look at the line that Big Bash is talking about. Okay. Now you liked castling g5. You wanted me to play rook e8 here. Yeah, okay. That makes sense too. Maybe that's even better. Because it did feel like I kind of lost a bit of coordination between my pieces later on. So he's suggesting rook e8 here with the idea that white can't take this knight because then I take and open this discovered attack and win his queen. Takes, yeah, with check, so block, and then probably still the same move. This is, I believe, the same position that I was just looking at a moment ago. So maybe the move order is not that significant. Or maybe it is because there's other options. Let's just see here. Wow, okay, it says big advantage for black. Yeah, I mean, I guess white's king is in trouble. I'm surprised it's this much, though. I mean, material count, he's got a knight and a rook for the queen. Like, that's technically... Oh, I do have a pawn also. So I would technically be 2 points material-wise up, but the engine says that I'm just completely winning. So let's see what the engine wants. 94 right away. That I didn't look at. Well, I looked at it, but I thought it would just lose a pawn. Now it's liking your move rook e8 about as much. I think my CPU's getting overloaded again. So if that didn't go through, it was liking rook e8 also. I do want to see what it thinks of my move. Yeah, so good but not as good is basically the verdict. I guess on this layout I am slightly obscuring the evaluation. It's 0.7. So, okay. So that would have been a good move to see, is that, yeah, I was looking at this whole line, but I didn't really consider rook e8 first. So that's just a good lesson for me to always, well, not always, but a lot of times in situations where it's a critical position like this, looking at changing the move order can make a big difference. Were you going to say something, Papa? I heard your little beep.
Yeah, no, just the stream seemed to it didn't lag from what I could tell.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Okay. Yeah, and then I thought that knight e4 was the only way to save the pawn here. Well, not right away. I need to throw in this check first. Add a defender. I think that was a good find by me to find that way. Because, I mean, I also looked at d4 for a while. I thought that things got kind of messy. Even if I do like this, I mean, he's got his bishop, his queen, his rook are all, going to be easily getting into the attack against my king. It just doesn't seem like it should be something that I should really entertain. I guess, to be fair, I mean, my rook, my queen are going to be involved shortly too. But these are, even if it's an even position, like me personally, I just don't like, I don't play well in these like open tactical lines. So I think it was better for me to just avoid it. Yeah, and it says white is about a pawn and a half better here. So did it like the queen e3, queen e6 check plan. Yeah, about as much as knight e4. Yeah, I guess knight e4 doesn't drop a pawn. I think maybe I even alluded to this in the game. But yeah, um, I don't think white can grab this because if white does, then you get the pin again. So I guess it doesn't drop a pawn right away. But it seemed like both moves. Sorry, I'm seeing your comments a little late here, Vash. Yeah, oh, you're saying just leave his pawn on g7. Okay. Yeah, I mean, at least my king is actually, protected there. I feel like that would. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I feel like that would make me a little bit uncomfortable just being A, having my king tied to stopping his pawn, and B, my king wouldn't have any squares other than g7 potentially. But I mean, I can go back to that line. Let's see. So you were saying right here, just rook e8 check. Yeah, it says dead even, maybe a slight advantage for black. Okay, as played, his knight came in. Then I played knight e4. I want to look at this too, just to be sure that I'm not. I mean, I think now it is the only way to save this pawn and the knight. Yeah, knight e4, the only move that really gives black an advantage. It just felt like maybe I would get in trouble. Like I was worried here that like maybe even taking here was possible. Then him being able to utilize this pin. But I did think I would always have just knight here, attacking the queen, and if he trades, I can just take with the knight, and my knight's not hanging anymore. So I guess there was probably nothing to worry about there. Yeah, I didn't think castling short was very good for him. I mean, I didn't really have a great way to take advantage of it immediately, but just felt like his king was always going to be a little unsafe over there. I mean, it might be okay. Like I would never play it. I would just feel terrified with my king out in the open like that. Yeah, it says it gives black. Now it's saying only about a half pawn, between a pawn and a half pawn. Oh, and I wanted to see because I did think on this move for a while. I was a little worried about my situation in the center, but I ultimately decided I could just develop. Yeah, it likes knight c6. Okay. And then when I was kicked, yeah, so I thought taking was best because if he takes this way, my knight gets a good square to attack the queen. And if he takes with the pawn, I have a long-term advantage in his pawn structure being kind of ruined. And that is what happened. I guess let's just make sure. Yeah. Yeah. I did kind of get into a position here where, and it happens so often for me in my games, that like I know I'm better, but it's hard for me to find the moves that really prove that I'm better. So I don't think that was the case right away. I think rook f to e8 is fine, but yeah, it's suggesting either rook to e8. But wasn't too long before I started kind of getting a little uncoordinated, I guess. Yeah, so that just drops the pawn. So I would suspect black has a pretty decent advantage now. Yeah, I didn't really know what that move was about. Yeah, and yeah, I think this is a good example of like I had an idea that like it first seemed good, but ended up really not being that good. Of just like moving this knight over and trying to attack this pinned piece, a piece that I considered pinned, but it's not really pinned because the queen is defended. So I suspect I should probably just play like rook here and get ready to double. Because I don't think there's any issue there. I would just push again. He would be opening up an attack on his knight. So I think if I could do it again, I would play rook e3 here. It doesn't like that. It wants me to play knight e7, the move that I said I didn't like. Or c4. I looked at c4. Well, I didn't look at it here. I looked at it later. Okay. So I guess knight e7 wasn't so bad.
I don't see how knight e7 leads to a pin.
It doesn't. I was wrong. I thought that his knight was pinned because if he moves, I could just take his queen. But it's not because he's got his rook there to recapture. So his knight can move, and I can trade queens, but I'm not going to win his queen. But for some reason, just in the moment, I had it in my head, oh, his knight's pinned. And usually when you're pinning a piece of your opponent's, you want to bring in other pieces to attack. So my idea was I'm going to bring my knight around, attack his knight, but didn't really. The computer seems to think knight e7 is fine, but I doubt it's for that reason because that didn't really lead anywhere. But maybe it's
I see.
okay. No. So anyway, knight e7. Yeah, and that rook move was strange to me. I didn't see it until after I moved that maybe his idea was bringing the rook over to h2. But I mean, my queen is still fine there. I've got plenty of escape squares. So I don't know. I do wonder now if the computer still likes me bringing the knight to f5 and trade the knights off. I felt like from a principled standpoint, I didn't want to trade pieces because I'm the one with the attack. I felt like I should keep pieces on the board and try to checkmate white. Yeah, it's debating between knight g6, which I played, and knight f5, which was my original idea. So it seems to think both are good. And here I was under time pressure, and I decided to just go ahead and trade the queens off. I think anything else, and I'm just dropping this pawn, aren't I? Because like if I go queen here, doesn't he have rook here? Oh, it likes queen g4. Okay, that at least still. Yeah, so the computer prefers queen g4. That does save the pawn. I didn't see that because it ties his queen down to the defense of the knight. And it also adds another attacker to this pawn. So I'm now threatening to win the pawn. I mean, he can probably just play knight here. Okay, I traded queens, which the computer didn't seem to think was terrible. Now I started getting into some trouble because it was kind of hard for me to find the advantage here. I wanted to double rooks, but I saw that if I played here, I was inviting this, which I didn't like. If I played here, I'm just losing a piece. Or I guess I'm just losing an exchange. Yeah, because I guess I would just play here. Oh, maybe I'm actually okay here. So maybe that was playable. That was much deeper than I ever would have looked. I mean, I just saw that simple fork there. I think it's still probably a little bit better for white. Yeah, computer says it's better for white. About 2 pawns. Okay, so Big Bash, you got here at the worst time. You got here at the part that I started losing. So what does the computer want to do here? I mean, I do like the idea of doubling rooks, but in practice, maybe it's a little more difficult. Like maybe I could play b5 and look to swing this rook around this way. Rook a to d8 or c4. c4 I played, or now it's liking b5. Bishop c7. Bishop c7 I wouldn't have ever really thought of. I guess the idea just to make it so that this knight move isn't with tempo. But okay, c4 probably wasn't horrible. Yeah, I guess so. I guess the computer likes him being able to make this move. It seems a little superficial to me. Like, maybe that's not the best word. But, like, I just moved to c7, and then I don't know what this knight's doing here. I could be wrong. Yeah, and I didn't really like. I mean, obviously it's good to attack this undefended pawn, this backward pawn, but it was always in my plan to play b5 to reinforce. Once I played c4, I was always thinking b5 and get this strong. Ben Five and Gold follower. Always like to see that. Or just someone with equally clever jokes, but yeah, c4 very explosive. Yeah, and I suspected he would want to close things down rather than have me blockading his doubled pawns. And so yeah, here's another pretty classic example of I've got an advantage, now what do I do with it? Yeah, computer says, okay, I'm only up really a pawn, which I'm up a pawn on the board. Maybe a little bit of an advantage outside of that. But, I mean, I thought my move of getting the rook in to add pressure was fine. Maybe I just got a little careless here because, I mean, here's where I thought that I was breaking through. And I even saw, like, hey, I can, like, this pawn is not defended enough because the king isn't a defender here. But I think I just took the wrong way. I mean, maybe I can't take any way. I took with the knight, which led to tactic knight to g3, which the absolute best even the game. I suspect it probably gave him a slight advantage. So the question is, can I take with the bishop? Oh, is this... Oh, okay, we're coming up on that move. Okay, yeah, well, let's look at that. Okay. Yeah, so I looked at knight h3. I thought if knight h3, he's taking here, and then when I take back, he's just a piece. Am I missing something there? guess you want me to just take this way, maybe? Oh yeah, actually that works much better. Yeah, so I didn't look at that move order. So now I don't know, does he even yeah, he would want to stay on the defense of his rook, so probably doesn't matter really where. So I'm making the same move next anyway. Yeah, I didn't see that. Zwischenzug. But yeah, that would have been actually a fine way to proceed. Yeah, I think I had tunnel vision on like, hey, I need to regain this material. Yeah, so I ruled it out right away because of that. So I should have been more critical of it. So I'm guessing I'm actually still, yeah, almost 2 pawns, maybe even a little, maybe 2 pawns better here. But only if knight h3. It says rook a to e8, I'm still a little bit better. So that's comforting that I at least found some semblance of a defense. Oh yeah, I did want to look at taking with the bishop. Yeah, so if I take with the bishop and then he goes here, I assume I just take that and say I'm up 2 pawns. Yeah, it likes that position pretty good too. Does he have any other move here? Doesn't seem like it. Yeah, I think yeah, I want him to trade bishops. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so you're saying were you saying here to play knight h4 check? Yeah. Yeah, that does seem fun. Only move, win the bishop. Is that move really that there? It seems like it has to be really good. Yeah, basically a piece. Well, I mean, bishop. Yeah, I mean, as you said, though, bishop takes d2 comes with check, and I'm defending the knight. So I mean, it seems like I'm just winning a piece, right? Even if he's not mated, I feel like I'm just up a piece, and I'm winning this pawn if I want it. Yeah, I wish I'd seen all that. Okay, but knight takes. I still had an out that I didn't quite see. But things were okay here. The computer says equal, maybe still a slight advantage. I feel like it's a tough one for someone at my level to hold, though. Those rooks get pretty strong in the end game. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I missed that he could just take that. I think I'm about spent on my best analytical ability for the day. Okay, he traded here. I don't see any benefit of taking with the bishop. So okay. And then now, yeah, I mean, maybe I have to just go ahead and trade rooks here. It's like I saw that he could double next, and that I'd have a problem here. Well, I saw that I would have a problem on f7. I didn't really appreciate how big it would be because even though this pawn looks loose, it's actually doing a pretty great job of making this move uncomfortable. But yeah, I think going back, I would probably just trade rooks here. Okay, let me look at that line. So as played, I played rook g4. He doubled. You're saying rook e4 check now. Rook e4 check. King, I assume, just goes here. Doesn't seem like you'd want to block your doubled rooks, but I'll confirm that with the engine. King d2. And then you wanted me to play rook f5. No, rook e7. Yeah, that makes more sense. Rook e7. Okay, defending. Yeah, I was already a bit disconsolate, thinking I was in big trouble and down on time. But yeah. And you thought rook f5 here makes some sense. Rook d7, holding everything. Yeah, I did feel like a4 was coming sooner rather than later. Maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, obviously, I'm never taking that pawn. I'll just recapture. But I mean, I guess if he can get it to a5, this pawn's always weak. Yeah, I mean, it seems like white's the one with winning chances, really, from any way you slice it from here out. Yeah, in time pressure, I made some mistakes, I would say. Yeah, it felt like here it should just be totally lost. Yeah, and I mean, at this level, 2.5 pawns isn't totally lost, but it's not really good either. I mean, honestly, yeah, there's no other way to slice it from here than I just got lucky that he wasn't able to close it out. Here I freaked out thinking that rook g8 was a move, but of course I would just take back. And then yeah, I was perfectly content if he wanted to draw by repetition. Yeah, so here was another kind of a turning point in the game where I have an opportunity for a trade, a decision moment for me, I should say. I felt like just a single rook versus my bishop, he was going to have the better of that, especially since these base pawns are on light squares and my bishop can't defend light squares. It just felt like his rook would get around. I didn't appreciate at this point that I do have the only pass pawn in the position and that can be a hindrance to him. My king's already in good position to help it along, kind of. So maybe I should have looked more seriously at taking. I think I kind of like the way I played though, and just take later when the trade is more favorable. Let's see what the computer says. Yeah, rook g2 check. Bishop d8. What is the idea there? How can that move be good? The second choice was bishop d8. Oh, okay. Yeah, I also didn't appreciate that he wasn't really threatening to take because I could just take back. Okay. Yeah, so this was, I guess, a little inaccurate. Got back to this kind of stuff. Yeah, I thought in this position, rook h8 was gonna be uncomfortable. I mean, that just wins the pawn, right? No, it doesn't win the pawn. It forces a trade. So rook h8, I would have to go here. I assume he takes. He gets over and wins one of these base pawns. I don't know which is best or if it really matters. I guess here because he's going to be hitting the bishop too. And then, I mean, this pawn can run, but his king can stop, his rook can come back. Like he's probably, yeah, he's still pretty good here. So maybe he missed an opportunity here. Doesn't think so. It wants him to play rook a8 and just go win that pawn immediately. I guess maybe the computer's contention is that he's got such an advantage anyway that he might as well, he doesn't have to give up a rook to win this pawn. He can just go win one of these pawns and not have to give anything up, probably. So, yeah, I agree. Yeah, and again, I really just got lucky from here. I threatened that again. Now I traded. Maybe trading was bad here. No, now it says this was the time. Well, maybe. It says trading's not bad here anyway. I mean, a deeper analysis might favor the trade less, but it seems like maybe this was an okay time to trade. And then I played it with the idea of following with king g5, just trying to get my king active and assisting this pawn. Yep, king g6 about as good. And I think there's really only, yeah, I was wondering about, in retrospect, I think this was just kind of too hopeful of a move. And I said it during the stream that like bishop c7 idea with hoping that I'm going to land this pin. I feel somewhat certain it's not the best move. Apparently, it's not a bad move, but yeah, it wants me to just start pushing the pawn. I mean, it makes a lot more sense. But I did see that if he landed this, what looks like a fork, I could just get out with check. But I did think that this or even this makes a whole lot more sense just to try to get towards this pawn. Honestly, even like maybe this makes more sense to just try to like whip around. Well, not there, but get in here. Although his rook should have no problem winning this pawn. It actually, yeah, it likes king e2, king e1, and yeah, So it thinks that's a somewhat substantial mistake. I get rolling. Yeah, and he got passive pretty quickly. I think well, it's possible maybe, like, I wonder if he had time to go over here. Yeah, maybe here, win this pawn with check, and then get back into a position where he could trade the rook for the bishop and the pawn. That might be difficult. My king there to defend. That might be difficult to get both of those pieces off the board for the rook. Yeah. One's rook g7 check, or king e2 because he should have played that last move. And yeah, somewhere around here it started becoming clear that it was going to be difficult for him. Yeah, and then I mean once I get these guys locked in, I think he didn't appreciate the fact that these defend one another, because like he made a pretty strange rook h1 move later in the game where like that doesn't really do anything. I suspect here it may already even be a draw. It says I'm got a um, slight advantage actually. Are you saying that my bishop can't support the queening square? Because I did kind of notice that my bishop is never going to be able to guide this pawn all the way home. That's why I kind of felt like at this point that it was just a draw, because I thought that with if he had played correctly from here, I would never make progress. So yeah, I mean I think yeah, I don't know what he has to play here. I mean I think even well, I mean he probably just yeah he needed to get, as you said, I think he needed to get his king g2. No, it's all right. Yeah, he needed to get his king stopping this pawn, so his rook would be free to go win my pawns. But he didn't do that, which was lucky for me. So yeah, yeah, like I wonder now if I'm not just like a crushing advantage. Not quite crushing, but I bet if you let this run, you know, depth 30 or so, it might come back and say it is crushing. Because I mean, and then by here, it's yeah. Now it's getting to the point where there's just nothing he can do. And I've always heard that passed pawns on the sixth rank are worth as much as a rook by themselves. These pawns aren't quite there, but with the king to support, I mean, obviously he's got nothing else on the board, but I mean, I think maybe he focused a little too much on, hey, I can win a pawn, and not realizing how strong, unstoppable these pawns are. Okay, so kind of a crazy game that I was totally winning and then also deserved to lose, all wrapped up in one game. So I think that's going to be it for me tonight. Been talking chess for a while. Uh, Papa Dookie, you got any other thoughts you want to weigh in? Are you still even on the mic? Maybe not. Oh, okay. You're just watching on the stream. No, I'm probably just gonna go unless you've got a specific question or comment. I want to see, for vanity's sake, what my rating's looking like. Okay. So I had this frustrating little. You can look at the full picture. Like I had a little climb there in classical. Okay, this is actually just distracting. I had a little climb where I felt like I was finally kind of getting improving, then a very frustrating plummet. Now I'm back on the climb. So hopefully I can kind of keep that going. But I guess we'll see how that goes. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching and Big Dash for contributing. Papa, you ought to get out there and start playing some people sometime and have some fun with it. But that's going to be it for me. I hope everyone has a good night.